Among those in eternal rest are Venerable Shegun Bamishebi, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Dako Majebodumi, clinical pathologist, Professor Festus Oshieni, biochemist, Professor Labode Akindele, psychiatrist, Bolaji Akinsanya, surgeon, Chief Bola Ogulewe, Colonel Olu Akiyemi, Chief Babatunde Benson, Sam, and High Chief Ernest Adegoye Shonekong, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Grand Patron of the CMS ODS Americas in 2017, the position he held until his demise in 2021. May their souls rest in peace. Amen. I was the school prefect and the cricket captain in 1954. Without the arrogance of self-adulation, I have remained loyal to the ethics of school in my scholarly pursuits with a sense of responsibility to my alma mater.
He has done a lot and is still doing a lot. He's a very distinguished grammarian, and it's good to be here because I thought when the members of our ODS UK Europe are getting the Merit Award, I have to come and support them, and that's why I came here. I flew in yesterday night. Thank you so much for Dr. Babalola and the other members of the ODS UK Europe.
Well, that's a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed the events on the show today. Remember, if you want to showcase your events to the world, Plus Events is the place for you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Uime Elijah. Enjoy your weekend.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
what we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Lagos is ready for bigger business for the states to take over the world in the financial and economic space. This is according to Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Governor Sanwo-Olu spoke during an interview with journalists in London on Lagos' participation at the Lord Mayor's Show, LMS. The LMS, as it is known, has run for over 800 years, and Lagos is the first city in Africa to have been invited by London for participation. The governor said it was a testament to the upward economic trajectory of Lagos State. Governor Sanwo-Olu used the opportunity provided by the Lord Mayor's Show to drive investment to Lagos State. Greater Lagos is indeed rising. And this is the Greater Lagos Vision. And I'm your host, Lovikuku Oyedokun. Welcome.
This is Lagos, the heartbeat of Nigeria. A city steeped in rich cultural heritage and now poised to become a global financial center.
We're at the Lord Mayor's Show, and it's an opportunity for us to just depict what Lagos is all about. And it's only at an event like this, competing with other bigger cities and other nations, that you can get to tell your story. So it's storytelling time for us.
In a historic moment, Lagos made its inaugural appearance at the renowned Lord Mayor's Show in London, a testament to its growing economic prominence.
Lagos is a big mega city on its own right now. It's the largest city in Africa. It's the biggest economy that is a sub-national in Africa. But we want to make it one of the international financial centers in the world. All we're trying to do is to be able to let the world know that Lagos is indeed ready for bigger business.
Lagos isn't just open for business. It's a gateway to the future, embracing innovation and welcoming investors from around the globe. We invite the world to witness Lagos's dynamism, progress, and the myriad of opportunities available for transformative, groundbreaking projects.
Lagos is indeed ready to take over the world in the financial space, in the economic space, and to truly really be able to tell both the Lagos, the Nigerian, and the African story, and be able to let other parts of the world know who we are, understand our culture, understand that we're the center of culture, entertainment, music in the whole of Africa, and to also be able to, for people to know what we have to give to the world.
So the whole idea, right, is for us to be able to let the world, get them to know what is happening in Lagos. But GDP of Lagos is actually bigger than GDP of Kenya, it's bigger than Ghana, it's bigger than Rwanda, and it's bigger than Senegal. As a little sub-national, it's very big in how it stands, in how it sits, and it's all of that conversation that we think a lot of people need to know what is happening in Lagos, and how we can use the Lagos story, to sort of like tell the African story.
episode features scale acquisition. Sanwo-Olu reiterates commitment to youth women empowerment as Lagos trains 4,592 in vocational skills. Red Line, Sanwo-Olu commissions Oyingbo Bridge, promises more projects. Tackling building collapse, Sanwo-Olu unveils LASBCA's new office, calls for professionalism. Details of this and many more when we return. Please don't touch the dial. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has said that his administration will continue in his efforts to provide skills acquisition programs across the 3 senatorial districts of the state to create more job opportunities for women and young people. Governor Sanwo-Olu made this pledge while speaking at the graduation and presentation of certificate ceremony for the 2022 graduates of the program held at the LTVA Blue Roof in Ikeja, Lagos. A total of 4,592 students completed the training. They were taken through various skills at 19 centers for the 2022 training session. Breakdown shows 1,329 to be males and 3,263 to be females, with the best 19 graduates, one each across the centers, awarded working tools in their chosen vocations. Aggregately, over 18,000 candidates have been trained through the Lagos State-sponsored training programs free of charge since the establishment of the scheme in 2019. In his keynote address, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu assured them that the state would continue to allow youths and women to contribute their quota to national development.
The average age of all the graduates here today is about 24 or 25 years. Give yourself a round of applause. This is what we want it to be. We want it at your young age for government to be able to support you. It doesn't matter if you have gone to university. It doesn't matter if you have gone to an higher institution. But you might lack the skill that is needed for you to be entrepreneurial, for you to have the skill to be able to do things for yourself and by yourself. That's the difference of skill acquisition. It's not the number of graduates or university degrees that you've earned, because the white-collar jobs are not there every day. So we need to think out of the box. We need to be able to create those centers and ask you, what skill, what can you do with your hand? What can you innovate? What can you do with your thinking? What can you do with your sense that is business driven? It's not just textbook, that is practical, that you can feel, that you can touch, and it can bring life and revenue and upliftment and sustainability to you, to your family, and to your loved ones.
Governor Sanwo-Olu enjoined the graduates to be good ambassadors of the state and remain steadfast as they start another phase in the journey of life.
That opportunity that was given to you, use it well. Use it correctly. Use it to empower yourself. Social media is good, it's empowerment, and we're training and teaching people even on how to upscale opportunities on social media. But it's not only social media. There are other skills that we've given to you. There are other training that we've given to you. And so, let it count.
Development of training as a potential tool for social and community upliftment.
The Micro Enterprise Support Initiative is a mega empowerment strategy to deliberately support the vulnerable citizenry with professional tools as milling machines, professional air dryers, snail pens, industrial cookers, industrial pressers, and fryers for the students that were trained on our Avia form. We have trained women on gari processing, and we have given them industrial pressers and fryers to be able to make their own gari from the cassava that they were taught to plant.
And for the graduates, a new chapter has indeed been opened.
Being a graduate is not easy, quite all right. But I would like to soar higher. I want to go higher than higher ground. I want to do better. I want to give back to society what the Lagos State has given unto me.
A skill is something that lasts forever. A skill is something that lasts forever, and no matter what, knowledge cannot be taken away from you. So it's a great privilege for me, and I'm so happy I choose this skill.
Some of the vocational courses taken by the graduates include photography, textile making, catering and hotel management, hairdressing, fashion designing, welding, aluminium fabrication, leatherwork, furniture and woodwork, among others.
This is Lagos, the heartbeat of Nigeria, a city steeped in rich cultural heritage and now poised to become a global financial center.
We're a Lord Mayor's show, and it's an opportunity for us to just depict what Lagos is all about. And it's only at an event like this, competing with other bigger cities and other nations, that you can get to tell your story. So it's storytelling time for us.
In a historic moment, Lagos made its inaugural appearance at the renowned Lord Mayor's show in London, a testament to its growing economic prominence.
Lagos is a big mega city on its own right now. It's the largest city in Africa. It's the biggest economy that is a sub-national in Africa. We want to make it one of the international financial centers in the world. All we're trying to do is to be able to let the world know that Lagos is indeed ready for bigger business.
Lagos isn't just open for business. It's a gateway to the future, embracing innovation and welcoming investors from around the globe. We invite the world to witness Lagos's dynamism, progress, and the myriad of opportunities available for transformative, groundbreaking projects.
Lagos is indeed ready to take over the world in the financial space, in the economic space, and to truly really be able to tell both the Lagos, the Nigerian, and the African story, and be able to let other parts of the world know who we are, understand our culture, understand that we're the center of culture, entertainment, music in the whole of Africa, and to also be able to, for people to know what we have to give to the world.
So the whole idea, right, is for us to be able to let the world, get them to know what is happening in Lagos. But GDP of Lagos is actually bigger than GDP of Kenya, it's bigger than Ghana, it's bigger than Rwanda, and it's bigger than Senegal. As a little sub-national, it's very big in how it stands, in how it sits, and it's all of that conversation that we think a lot of people need to know what is happening in Lagos, and how we can use the Lagos story, to sort of like tell the African story.
One of the 4 bridges being concurrently constructed by the Lagos State government along the Red Line Rail Corridor is now open to traffic, creating a new commuting and connectivity experience in Lagos mainland. Governor Sanwo-Olu, while speaking at the unveiling of the Oyingbo overpass, noted that the inauguration of the bridge was timely. The construction of the T-shaped overpass is expected to serve as an alternative route to access Ebute Metta, Oyingbo, Yaba, and Surulere. The project is undertaken by Lagos State Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA. It is strongly believed it will bring relief to motorists and commuters plying Yaba axis of the state by reducing congestion and delays associated with railway-level movement in the vicinity. The overpass bridge also eliminates pedestrian and vehicular interference on the rail tracks, significantly reducing the risk of accidents and collisions between trains and vehicles. ecstatic crowd of residents thronged the ceremony where the governor and members of the state's cabinet gathered to formally inaugurate the project.
Thank you very much. So, media reach.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu described the inauguration as timely.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call permanent solutions when the train starts, because you need to build the infrastructure before the rail continues. And so we're putting the round holes in round peg, and we're ensuring that the Lagos State Transport Master Plan, as we have done, we're on track and we're within time to ensure that everything is done.
Sanwo-Olu said the Oyingbo overpass would serve as an alternative route for commuters traveling between the island and the mainland during the period of the rehabilitation, hence providing succor for commuters. The governor declared that the remaining overpasses at Ikeja, Mushin and Oyingbo were at their completion stages and would be open to traffic before the end of December 2023.
Where we are here is the Oyingbo bus station. You know too well what happened a couple of years ago. Very unfortunate incident during the EndSARS, where this facility was raised up. But we're happy that, like the Yoruba saying, Iliobato Jo Ewa Loma Busi. Now, Oyingbo has its bus station, but Oyingbo also has a bridge overpass, and Oyingbo also has a rail station, all within the same walking distance here in Oyingbo.
Sanwo-Olu said the delivery of the Yaba flyover reflected his government's plan for an integrated transportation system. He disclosed that the Red Line trains will soon begin pre-inauguration test run to be followed by commissioning and formal operations of the Metro Line in 2024. The governor, while warning against turning the bridge to a trading platform, served last notice to all those engaging in illegal trading on the railway tracks, instructing law enforcement agencies to ensure compliance. Lamata Managing Director Abimbola Akinajo said 3 of the 4 remaining bridges had been completed and awaiting commissioning.
There were 10 level crossings identified along the LRMT Red Line corridor, which was seen as having heavy traffic. And so therefore, over which we have now built overpass bridges. 5 of them, or at least they have been identified as requiring overpass bridges. 5 of them were allocated to Lagos State Government, and the 5 others to the Federal Ministry of Transport.
Governor Sanwo-Olu strongly holds that the delivery of the infrastructure bore testament to his administration's determination to develop, provide sustainable solutions to transportation challenges facing the state. Lack of professionalism has been identified as the major causes of bidding collapse. To this end, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has called on all Lagosians, especially professionals that are engaged in the construction industry, not to cut corners in the discharge of their duties. Governor Sanwo-Olu stated this during the unveiling of the Lagos State Building Control Agency's building in Ikeja. It is the official commissioning of the newly built Lagos State Building Control Agency's office in Ikeja. The new office is part of measures to address the recurring issue of building collapses within the state. In his speech at the unveiling, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu asserted that with the inauguration of the agency's building, it is repositioned to effectively discharge its responsibilities in line with the agenda of the government. He said the newly inaugurated office will serve as a nerve center for the vital functions, equipped with modern technology and skilled workforces to enhance efficiency and effectiveness.
You know, when you come for an epoch event like this, there's always joy and happiness around. 18 months, under 2 years, and they will achieve it. I want to thank the contractor, I want to thank the management of LAPSA, I want to thank everybody for making this edifice a reality.
When I saw the picture about 3 weeks ago myself, I was truly, truly impressed. And I was proud with what all of you professionally have been able to do. And so for us in Lagos, we pride ourselves to continue to raise the bar of governance. We pride ourselves to continue to ensure that the greatest good will be for the greatest number. And that at all times, people will come first in everything that we do. People will be the signature of all of our commitment and of all of the things that we do. And to make life better for our citizens is why we're here. Is why we do and wake up every day. And that commitment, I want to assure you, you will not find us short on it.
Governor Sanwo-Olu noted that with the right policy and execution in place, menace of building collapses would be reduced to the barest minimum in the state. He also said that government would provide the enabling environment and make policies to promote healthy buildings.
The fear of LAPCA is indeed for us to have in our space an environment that truly, truly represents how people should live and how they should behave. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we have seen incidents of building collapse in one form or the other. And we've been called out, we've been challenged, we've been pushed to the wall. And I said that never again would we allow the agency that is responsible to control all of this development, be put in a place where they cannot discharge their responsibility fully.
Sanwo-Olu urged all staff of the agency to rededicate and recommit themselves to achieving the mandates of the agency.
I will be checking out on you. What that means is that I'll be looking out for you in the way in which you conduct yourself, in the way in which you ensure that professionalism, where you need to extend courtesy, you don't fail to extend those courtesies. Where you need to show compassion, you don't fail. But where you need to show firmness and decisiveness, you are also not found wanting in it.
Speaking on the importance of the agency's new building, the Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Oluyinka Olumide, said the inauguration of the building would further assist with the commencement of the ongoing certified accreditation program. The Lagos State Building Control Agency, LAPSCA, is the agency saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that basic minimum standards and quality control in building construction are observed to achieve structurally safe, secure, and sustainable buildings in the state.
Lack of professionalism has been identified as the major causes of building collapse. To this end, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has called on all Lagosians, especially professionals that are engaged in the construction industry, not to cut corners in the discharge of their duties. Governor Sanwo-Olu stated this during the unveiling of the Lagos State Building Control Agency's building in Ikeja.
This is Lagos, the heartbeat of Nigeria, a city steeped in rich cultural heritage and now poised to become a global financial center.
We're at a Lord Mayor's show, and it's an opportunity for us to just depict what Lagos is all about. And it's only at an event like this, competing with other bigger cities and other nations, that you can get to tell your story. So it's storytelling time for us.
In a historic moment, Lagos made its inaugural appearance at the renowned Lord Mayor's Show in London, a testament to its growing economic prominence.
Lagos is a big mega city on its own right now. It's the largest city in Africa. It's the biggest economy that is a sub-national in Africa. But we want to make it one of the international financial centers in the world. All we're trying to do is to be able to let the world know that Lagos is indeed ready for bigger business.
Lagos isn't just open for business. It's a gateway to the future, embracing innovation and welcoming investors from around the globe. We invite the world to witness Lagos's dynamism, progress, and the myriad of opportunities available for transformative, groundbreaking projects.
Lagos is indeed ready to take over the world in the financial space, in the economic space, and to truly really be able to tell both the Lagos, the Nigerian, and the African story, and be able to let other parts of the world know who we are, understand our culture, understand that we're the center of culture, entertainment, music in the whole of Africa, and to also be able for people to know what we have to give to the world.
So the whole idea, right, is for us to be able to let the world, get them to know what is happening in Lagos. But GDP of Lagos is actually bigger than the GDP of Kenya, it's bigger than Ghana, it's bigger than Rwanda, and it's bigger than Senegal. As a little sub-national, it's very big in how it stands, in how it sits, and it's all of that conversation that we think a lot of people need to know what is happening in Lagos, and how we can use the Lagos story, to sort of like tell the African story.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the Greater Lagos Vision on Plus TV Africa. Our Greater Lagos is indeed rising. I'm Lovikuku Oyedokun. Bye for now.
Who has the right of way? Nigerian roads come with a lot of chaos. The chaos is caused by a combination of drivers, motorcycle and tricycle riders, pedestrians and sellers who all claim the right of way. The chain of right of way holders in Nigeria is hierarchical, and car and motor drivers are at the top of the chain with pedestrians at the bottom. Car or motor drivers believe that they always have the right of way regardless, and motorcycle and tricycle riders don't even have any regard for who has the right of way. For fear of accidents and their lives, pedestrians have learned to cower. When a collision occurs, the question of who has the right of way is on the lip of all concerned as they try to figure out who is guilty. The law doesn't grant anyone the right of way, but you yield it to other road users under these circumstances. At a yield sign, to pedestrians in a crosswalk, to persons using a seeing eye guide dog, to persons using a white cane with or without a red tape, at T intersections where you must yield to vehicles on the through road, at uncontrolled intersections where vehicles are already in the intersection, when driving on an unpaved road that intersects with a paved road, when returning to the roadway after a car is parked. Pedestrians must always be yielded the right of way at intersections and crosswalks. Treat bicycles as motor vehicles. Yield to bicyclists in all situations where you would yield to a car. For example, wait for an oncoming bicycle to pass before turning left. Turn right at a red light if it's permitted and no vehicles are approaching. If you see a sign that says no right turn on red, then you must wait for the light to turn green again. Otherwise, you must turn right at a red light after yielding to oncoming traffic. Stop for pedestrians who've begun crossing the road. Once a pedestrian has begun crossing the road, they have the right of way. You should also stop for pedestrians waiting to cross at crosswalks that aren't controlled by a traffic light. Yield to oncoming traffic if you're entering a main road.
Hello and welcome to Regardless, Nigeria's #1 anti-drug abuse television show brought to you by Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministries, KDAM, under the auspices of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. My name is Louisa Olaniyi and I'm your host. Today we'll be talking, why do girls do drugs? And who is in a better position to take us through all of that? That's someone that has seen it all and have done it all. I'll get to show you who that person is. But after this very short break, I'll take you through today's clip and we'll be right back. Stay tuned, you're watching Regardless.
Good afternoon, ladies and girls. You are welcome to this special event put together by Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry, specially for women. It has been observed that over time, more and more women are starting to use drugs. And that is why at this particular time, we will want to discuss why girls do drugs. In 2018, the United Nations Office for Drug and Crimes published a report that states that if you take 4 people, 1 in 4 people that use drugs is actually a woman. That is quite worrisome. At KDAM, we have been able to rehabilitate about 3,000 people over the 30 years of our existence. And today, one of them is with us to share her experience through drug use to treatment and rehabilitation, and she's now standing and doing well. She's a beautiful woman now. She works, she's now doing very well in society. So please put your hands together as I welcome Miss Erica John. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you guys for this unusual opportunity to share my experience with drug use amongst young minds, especially girls, because, well, as a teenager, I really didn't have any reasons, or I didn't know my reasons up front for doing drugs. I just knew that I started doing drugs. I couldn't recognize my reasons, not until when I was going through recovery, when I was in rehab, and that is why I started identifying my problems and I was dealing with it.
in my case, and I believe it to be so with most girls that get into drugs, mine started as a case of sexual abuse. And a bit of peer pressure. First, it started with cigarettes. I was introduced to cigarettes by my friends.
Dear, don't worry. You'll soon get over it.
Dad, that's so terrible to say. What if I die?
Keep quiet. Because it's your first time. Just take this. Take it.
I actually needed somewhere to hide, someone to talk to. But right now, today, I think I don't care.
Use this one to shine your eyes. It will keep you smiling and happy. No worry. Make you very smart and give you vibes to the streets.
And then from there, I started smoking marijuana, also by my friends. By the time I got to my 100 level, second semester, I had already started codeine and Refnol. After that, I also started crack and heroin, and I got addicted to it pretty easily. At that point, I knew I needed help, but then there was no one or nowhere to turn to. How I wish parents would listen to their children and not neglect them.
Through all my struggles, Kadam came through for me, and all I want to say is thank you, Kadam.
It's always a pleasure to welcome you to this TV series, Regardless, a production of Christ Against Drug Abuse Ministry, a non-for-profit organization that faces the issue of drug abuse in our society. It is, of course, under the auspices of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And today, we'll be looking at why do girls do drug? I have with me Erica Effiong John, the lady you just listened to in that very short video, recounting her story. And of course, she'll be enacting that and taking us through what really went down why she eventually did drugs, and what has become of her today. Erica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for that bold step of telling your stories and also encouraging other young girls that might have fallen a victim, but knowing that regardless of what has happened to them, there is hope in the horizon.
Yeah.
Welcome one more time.
Thank you
And
very
congratulations on your courage.
Thank you.
Now, so take us through. How did that start for you?
It didn't just start like that, you know. There were a series of events that happened right from my childhood that amounted or resulted to me doing drugs. You know, when I was a child, I didn't really, yes, my parents, they didn't have anything marital issues whatsoever, but then they were never really around because mom and dad, they're working. So they weren't really present in our lives, or should I say my life. Yeah, so they weren't really there. So I felt this sense of being alone, like they didn't care about me, they didn't love me, I didn't have friends, I wasn't really associating with my classmates and all of that. So, and then moving on to secondary school, I went to a boarding school, not in Nigeria here, so that also took me further away from my family. And during those years that I was away from my family, I was also sexually abused for 3 years. And I couldn't say anything to anybody because the person threatened me. And this person was meant to be my guardian.
At what age did that start?
It started at the age of 13.
13?
Yes.
How many are you in your family?
We're 3.
Boys, girls?
3 girls.
3 girls?
Yeah.
And you had a full-time working parent?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So I tried to, you know, hint my mom, to tell her that I didn't like where I was, that it's either I come back to Nigeria or maybe I'll just stay in school, maybe during the midterm breaks, because that was the reason why I had to be with a guidance. So maybe during the short breaks, that it's not really necessary to come back to Nigeria. I just stay there prior to the time school resumes. So it was during the course of those vacations that all this happened. So I tried to hint my mom about it, but then, you know, she was like, you don't want to walk, you don't want to do this, you don't want to, you know.
Was it before you went to boarding school, or
whilst I was in boarding school?
Boarding school.
Yes.
The abuse was whilst you were in boarding school.
Yes, the abuse was whilst I was in boarding school.
Okay.
So it really affected my academics. It affected me as a person. It affected my social life. It affected my choices because I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anybody to turn to. So while I was in school, the people that actually accepted me, the people that actually showed me that they cared about me were actually the wrong set of people. You understand? So, you know, when you're alone and someone, Erica, come, what are you doing here? Let's go. And then I'm like, this person really likes me. Have you eaten? Do you want to eat this? Or you don't want the food? Do you want this? So I really felt like, this person actually likes me, this person cares about me.
I want to chill with the big boys.
That kind of thing. So I started moving with them. But there was this bitterness in me. I hated everybody. I hated everything because I felt like people were seeing me, but then they weren't seeing me. So I needed to be seen. You understand? And then there was one thing, growing up back then, one thing that made you a woman was your virginity.
Oh, cool.
And it was taken away from me without my consent.
When you talk about abuse, because I want to go back a bit. Sexual abuse?
Yes, sexual abuse.
Okay, so that was the point you lost your virginity?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then mom didn't,
she didn't know anything about it.
And then she still pushed you away. Yeah. So it felt like I had an issue, you've not dealt with it, and you're still
pushing me. She didn't even want to hear about it.
Did you try talking to her about it?
I tried my best because the person in question said if I ever told anybody about it, that he was going to kill me.
That's the lie they always say.
Yeah.
So what was the role of your dad in all of this?
Well, my dad is a very quiet person. He's, I don't know if he's love or because he allows my mom make the decisions.
And then you put all the blame on the mom?
Yes.
You felt like she had the say.
I felt that she had the higher power or the higher hand, because even when I told my dad, Daddy, I don't like this place, I want to come back. Like, your mom knows what's best for you. If your mom says you're going to be there, you're going to be there. So that was how it felt. So, and then I remember I had my first stick of cigarette at the age of 15.
15. What class were you then?
I was in SS2.
SS2.
Yeah. So, but I didn't really feel the effect. I'm like, what is this? But because they were doing it and...
What did you start with? What kind of drug did you start with?
Cigarettes.
Cigarette?
Yeah.
That was your first stick?
That was my first stick. So when I smoked for the first time, I'm like, what is in this thing? But because I knew that, even before I even started smoking, people thought, like some of the students, they thought I was already smoking because yes, you're a bad girl. So what do bad girls do? They smoke, they drink. So I just wanted to keep up that status quo.
Yeah.
I just wanted to live it that way. Yes, I think people are noticing me.
So
I just left it that way.
So anything that comes, you're ready?
I'm ready for it.
Why? We're looking at why young girls do drug, and Erica John is giving us her true life experience. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, she takes us through how she got saved for the want of a better world and the role Kadam played in all of this and what she's doing now. More like an advocate for other young girls to say no to drugs. You're still watching regardless. Stay tuned.
My name is Erica F. Young John, and I'm an ex-Kadam beneficiary. Don't do drugs because drugs are for losers.
Thanks for staying tuned. You're still watching the TV series Regardless, an anti-drug abuse TV series put together by Kadam. And of course, before that break, Erica F. Young John was telling us her true life experiences, how she started from being in an abusive, family, going down to boarding school, and then of course from a stick of cigarette to what next? Erica.
Yeah, so in my 100 level, I think first 3 weeks, I started smoking marijuana. Yeah, so from marijuana, I started codeine and refinol. From that, I went into crack and heroin. Yeah, so it was at that point, when I got to crack and heroin, I now dropped the other ones because that was for the big boys and the big girls, and so I just focused on that, and I used to tell myself that I could control it, but which was a lie. You can't actually control it.
Where do you guys get those stuff in boarding school?
No, I had left boarding school.
Oh, you left boarding school?
I
Okay.
was in the university now.
Okay, fine. What level were you when you were in the boarding school? Just cigarette?
Yeah, just cigarette.
Just cigarette. So when you left, you continued in that stead, and then you went into the university, and your mom never noticed, and it felt like you were doing good. And at that point, you didn't bother telling her anything. You were fine.
I was fine. I liked the life I was living because I didn't have any issues with anybody. Nobody was bothering me, and I wasn't bothering anybody. And even, it got to a point whereby I could stand up to my mom. Was there. You understand? So, but she didn't.
Just came with the age.
Yeah, she just thought it was just those the puberty years. So I dropped out of school. I dropped out in my 300 level in the university. So
as a result of the drug use?
Yes, as a result of drug use. But my parents still didn't know. They didn't know about it. I was still collecting my school fees, collecting my pocket money, collecting my accommodation fee. I was doing all of that. Even lied to them that, yes, I had graduated. And they even wanted to come. I was like, don't bother. It's going to be stress for you people. Just send me the money. I'll cook rice for me and my friends, and we'll do all of that. So they still didn't know. So it was after, they know I have finished school. I even lied to them about NYSC. I was collecting money, and I've done everything. So the problem now became known when there was no more lies to tell. I had to come back home. So I was home, and then there was no money again. I couldn't lie that I needed money to do this or that. And also, one or two occasions, someone, I don't know, has called my mom and told my mom, your daughter is smoking. Your daughter is doing this. And my mom would ask me, and I'm like, me? God forbid. I don't do it. Yes, I've tried it once. It's even only cigarettes. And I used to lie, just to cover up. So it got to a point I couldn't contain it anymore. I was already addicted, so I couldn't stay in the house.
So at what point were you
saved, quote unquote? Was it a case of them going out for an outreach, or you just walked there yourself?
Oh, well, I remember one fateful day, they came for evangelism because they usually do that. So when they came, and you know, when you already, I had gotten to that point whereby deep down I was telling myself that if you don't stop this thing, you will die.
So it's a case of self-realization.
Yes. But I just didn't know what to do. It's not like I haven't been to a rehab before. I have been to one before, but it didn't really work the magic.
Who took you there then?
My parents.
Oh, cool.
So they took me there. So I didn't really see the relevance of it. You understand? So I just told myself, and I had seen people die because of this thing. It's not like maybe I heard. I've seen with my 2 eyes. So it was just a matter of time. So that fateful day they came, and then they spoke about it. It was in January. So like, oh, they are going to admit in March, so we had to come and register and do all of that. I said, fine, no problem. I'll come. They thought I was joking because normally drug addicts, we like to tell people what they want to hear. And I'm sure they're used to it. Kadam is used to those talks. So, and the time came, I came to the office, I registered, and I said I was going to come. They said it was going to be in March. I said, no problem. So the person that was helping me, you know, liaising with me and Kadam, you know, trying to let me know, okay, it's almost time to all of that. So I gave the person my mom's number because my mom hadn't seen me in 3 years. In fact, she didn't even know if I was alive or I was dead. I just lost contact with all of them. Meanwhile, we're all in Lagos. So I told the man to call my mom and tell her that this is what is happening and I'm tired. She thought it was just one of those jokes to get money from her until she came, and then she saw me and she started crying. Like, this is not the child she gave birth to and all of that. So on the day when we went, I went to the office with my mom. I went to Kadam office with my mom, and then they told her that she would have to wait till March because that's when we do, there's a process for the whole admission. She started crying that, this girl is going to. I said, don't worry. She said she can't take me. I said, I'm not going home with you. I actually didn't have plans. I was going to go back to the joint. I was going to stay in the joint and wait till the time. But a mother being a mother, I don't know if any mother would
do what she did.
Would do.
Don't tear up. Don't tear up. Don't tear up.
I don't know if.
Take a breather. Just breathe in. All right. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll definitely continue this story. Stay tuned. Regardless of what happens, there is still hope. Interesting times. Of course, Erica had to just tear up their deep down stories, real life stories here. We tell you right here on the show. And like we always say, regardless of the situation, there is still hope once you seek help. Now, tell us, what did your mother do?
Well, since I told her I was going to stay in the joint, which was going to be like another month for admission, she started coming to the joint every day. She comes and she buys me drugs. She brings me food, she buys me drugs. Not Panadol, she buys me crack.
So that you feel comfortable.
So I feel comfortable. She does that every day for the next 1 month.
Why couldn't you do that at home since she's comfortable giving it to you?
The shame, the guilt, my sisters. I couldn't face my dad.
Your sisters knew all of this was happening?
Yes. There was a time my sister came to the joint with my mom. That was the first time before I went to rehab. So I couldn't...
So these joints are not hidden? People coming
No, they're not. They're everywhere in Lagos.
Nobody comes to raid and everything?
No, they do.
Okay,
they
so
do.
Each time they come, you're not even scared of you getting raided? You feel it's just part of the jungle life?
It's part of the hostel.
So what was your experience when it was, you actually did stay till March. When it was March, you went there. So tell us your experience at the Kadam facility.
It wasn't easy because, you know, I don't like authority. I don't like being told what to do. So it was really hard blending in, you know. It took me 3 months to adjust to myself and, you know, really calm down because there are times where I got tired and I'm like, I want to go home. But then I think about it, it's just for me. Nobody was holding me. In fact, in Kadam, they are not tying you down. If you want to go home, no problem. If you want to stay, no problem. The choice is yours. But you just have to think about it, and every choice has a consequence. So I sit back and I think about, I'm not doing this for anybody. I want to get good. I want to get clean for myself. And to the glory of God, I did my full 1-year program, and this is me today.
All right, now, before we go, what are your top 5 reasons why girls do drug, based on your experience and maybe other experiences that you've seen? Because I want to believe that even while you were there, you had other friends that were girls your type that shared similar experiences. Could you please share that with the viewers?
Well, I think one of the things, number 1, peer pressure. Number 2, early childhood trauma, maybe family abuse, whatsoever. And then number 3, sense of belonging. Sense of belonging. You just want to feel among. You just want to be known. And you know, there are times where, because of you're dating a boy, and maybe the boy likes bad girls. So because you want the boy to like you, you'll be a bad girl. So what are the ways of being a bad girl? You have to start doing things that bad girls do. What do girls do? They smoke, they drink. So it starts from there. And then change of environment also. Transition, maybe from secondary school to university, or maybe you're moving from one place, one particular location to another location. All this
coming together. So if you want to advise someone watching that might, have similar experiences or thinking of going into that, does this pay at all?
It doesn't pay. I wasted 9 years of my life because of drugs. And I have to start all over again from scratch. I'm back in university. I'm just trying to, in fact, I'm doing double of what I'm meant to do. I'm working and I'm schooling at the same time. It's not
Before
easy.
You're schooling
I
yourself
have to,
to
you understand? So I have to, even
I know,
Kadam got me a sponsor, someone to foot my education. So
interesting. Wow.
So I don't have to think about.
Wow. So after rehabilitation, the aftercare and everything.
Yes,
and now
that's
you're
part
working
of
with
the aftercare.
Interesting. So what are you doing for Kadam today?
Well, I'm their front desk officer. I'm like the face of Kadam. If you come to Kadam, I'm the first person you will see.
Imagine, what better way to tell you, I've been there, just calm down, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Let me say the local palace, you go do all right.
You go do all right last. So if you come, if you want to talk to Kadam, via phone, social media, in person, I'm still the first person.
This is a case of saying walking in the shoes, having understanding. So if someone comes and I know how you feel, you're right to say that. I really know how you feel.
Yeah, because I've been there.
You've been there, you've done that. Interesting session with Erica John there, an ex-beneficiary of Kadam, taking us through her ordeal, her story, how she overcame drug abuse. Of course, this show will not end without saying a very special thank you to our partners, Fitson Healthcare, NEM Insurance, CFAX Group. Also, our collaborating partners, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. They are doing a fantastic job in the fight against drug abuse. And also the National Orientation Agency. We say a very big thank you for partnering with Kadam. Until I come your way again next week, remember that regardless of the situation, there is hope. Stay away from drugs. Louisa Olani is my name. See you next week.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good evening, I am Sade Uwe and this is News Update. The Ondo State Commissioner for Information, Bamidele Ademola Olateju, has disclosed that President Bola Tinubu, in his intervention in the political crisis in the state, requested a signed resignation letter from the Deputy Governor of the state, Lucky Ayedatiwa. Ayedatiwa on Thursday presided over the state's Executive Council meeting after a months-long political impasse between himself and the governor, Rotimi Akeredolu. The Executive Council meeting came after Tinubu called the warring factions loyal to Akeredolu and Ayedatiwa for the resolution of the political crisis in the state. Opposition lawmaker Yusuf Galambi, representing the Gwaram Federal Constituency in Jigawa State, has claimed that Tinubu only submitted an empty document during his Wednesday budget presentation speech before the National Assembly. However, Alassane Doguwa, the lawmaker for the Doguwa Tundun Wada Federal Constituency in Kano, has kicked against the allegation. Doguwa emphasized that Tinubu gave out hard copies of his speech following protocol, as well as a flash drive that had soft copies of the whole appropriation bills and estimates. The federal government said it is working with the United States, the United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, and the Global Fund on an initiative aimed at ensuring country ownership and sustainability of national response to HIV/AIDS beyond 2030. The collaboration came just as the Secretary to the Government of Federation, Senator George Akume, revealed that President Bola Tinubu's administration is committed to sustaining the initiative to treat more HIV patients annually using resources mobilized locally. The SGF, who spoke during the commemoration of World AIDS Day in Abuja on Friday, said the government recognized the invaluable contributions of communities in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Governor Alex Otti has concluded plans to increase the salaries of the Abia State workforce. Otti disclosed this in Umuahia during a media parley with journalists, stating that he is engaging with stakeholders to improve the minimum wage of the state workers, in line with the realities at hand, and that soonest the package will be made public. The governor also explained that he did not sack permanent secretaries in the state, stating that the officials were first placed on suspension and that their removal was in line with what was obtained at the federal level and that due process was followed. Across 23 local government areas of the state. Against this concern, Kaduna State Deputy Governor Dr. Adisa Balarabe stated this at Sir Kashim Ibrahim House in Kaduna, saying the availability of hard drugs has a triple effect in society, leading to out-of-school children.
Because if we don't take out those who bring these drugs, we can never make a difference, on the demand side. We're trying for drug abuse prevention and treatment, but we need to take out the availability, the supply side, so that they don't really go back to those areas. We have children abusing various substances, and it breaks my heart, to see that kind of thing. So please, We can't do it all alone. Work with NDLEA, work with Kabusa, work with just any relevant MDA or individual that has a passion, for fighting against drug abuse and
Also, the national president of the Medical Women Association of Nigeria, Dr. Zainab Kwari, says the effects of drugs and substance abuse could be detrimental to a person's mental state, health, noting that it is one of the major key areas that must be focused, which is affecting family, children, and women, stressing the need for collaboration to tackle the menace in society.
We all have to play our roles. We as medical women, we have expertise in addressing or even preventing some of these issues. But we look up to other groups, right from the family level, at the community level, the various structures that we have, the various constituent groups that we have, will need to put heads together, including the government and other non-governmental associations, to see that we address this. It's like a monster that we have in our society. So it has to be a collective effort to deal with it and to prevent our...
Not something that I'm really happy about. You know that now drug abuse, from what we used to know before, traditionally where it happens in urban areas, we now see people, even in rural areas, abusing.
Residents of Orire local government in Oyo State have been thrown into mourning over the death of the 3 monarchs from the area on Friday night. The 3 monarchs, Olodogbo of Odogbo, Onibowula of Bowula, and Alayetero of Ayetero in Orire local government, all died in an auto crash at Ajaiye in Orire local government area. They were going for a social function at the nearby community when the accident happened. Now moving on to other parts of Africa. With 14 votes in favor, United Nations voted on Friday to terminate the mandate of the UN Transition Mission in Sudan. The draft resolution requests the mission to immediately start on 4th of December the cessation of its operations and the process of transfer of its task, where appropriate and to the extent visible, to UN agencies, funds and programs, with the objective of completing this process by 29 February 2024. It also calls on the mission to establish financial arrangements as appropriate with the UN country team to enable the UN to oversee the residual activities of programmatic cooperation previously initiated by UNITAMS. Nearly 11 months after the assassination of Cameroonian radio host Martinez Zogo, the state scandal that he triggered continues to shake the nation. On Friday morning, the prime suspects in the murder of the late 50-year-old journalist were set to be released. The businessman and his counterpart are accused of having played a role in the death of the director of Radio Amplitude FM, whose tattered body was discovered on the outskirts of Yaoundé in January. Zogo had been missing for 5 days before his remains were located January 22 near Seoul, a suburb of Yaoundé. In outside Africa, Israel renews bombardments of Gaza, hitting areas across the enclave after the end of a week-long truce, though negotiations to secure another pause in the fighting continues. UN humanitarian chief again calls for ceasefire in Gaza, saying Palestinians in the besieged territory are surrounded by disease, destruction, and death. More than 15,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th, while in Israel the official death toll stands at about 1,200. And in business, the Naira closed the week at 927.19 2023, according to data from the FMDQ Securities Exchange. Also, the turnover of dollars traded in the market improved from $75.82 million to $110.14 million in the period under review. Recently, the Apex Bank's governor, Olayemi Cardoso, stated that fiscal deficits and public debt increases are adding pressure to the external reserves and contributing to exchange rates instability. In entertainment, Afrobeat star David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, has been honored in the United States with the Outstanding Georgia Citizen Badge. The OBO crooner made this known in a tweet on his account on Friday. He wrote, "This morning I attended the Yuba State of Georgia General Assembly meeting with the Georgia House of Representatives and Georgia State Senate to be recognized as an outstanding Georgia citizen." And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Shade Uwe. Many thanks for watching.
Nigeria is witnessing an increase in entrepreneurs, startup companies, and small and micro-scale businesses. Economists say one of the major reasons for this is a problem that has plagued the country: unemployment. Many Nigerians spend several years at home jobless before securing their first jobs or settling for other options. The National Bureau of Statistics puts the country's unemployment rate at 33.3%, the highest on record. Rather than sit at home and complain, more young people are becoming innovative and turning their hobbies into businesses. Olayanwaju sold clothes in his undergraduate days to make extra income. He now does the same thing, but this time around to make a living.
It came as a motivation for me since my university period, because I actually went into selling of NYSC kits, selling all these basic minor clothes. Then after a while, after going to service, it occurred to me that the kind of industry.
Samuel Joy learned to cut hair during her days of unemployment. It's now what she does for a living.
Actually, it hasn't really been easy though, but a lot of challenges ahead of it, and some I've faced though, and it's cool. But I love it being, I was once a tomboy. That's when I learned barbing. And ever since then, I think I've been able to convince people to believe my skills.
Unemployment and poverty also forced Willie to be a barber on the streets of highbrow Victoria Island in Lagos.
When I was growing up, father actually wanted me to do something good. Wanted me to go to school, wanted me to have a good grades in school. Well, you know the system in the country. When after the school stage, you come back, you graduate from school, you still don't have good jobs out there.
On the flip side, unemployment has led to the stagnation of some individuals who find it tough to adapt because of their specializations. Wale Scott, a professional sports broadcaster, lost his job at the peak of his career. His unemployment journey lasted about 7 years. Moving on and getting another job was more difficult than he had imagined it would be.
A Wale Scott with all that talent doesn't have a job
But I realized that every office I went to when I picked myself up, when I get there, the guys who are in my department there are like, I beg, I space no day. Because they have job security problems. As in, if this guy comes, he's going to take our job. That was my major reason why I didn't get a job that early. Everybody felt like, it's good. If he comes, he's going to take our job and all that. So I didn't get a job for a long time.
All this doesn't mean there aren't people who still get one.
The reduced or the more reduced your chances as a job seeker to get shortlisted. So that's the first thing first is the information and the network. Then the next step is actually your own preparedness, which is your documents, your marketing tool, your CV. Anything that will sell you best should come first on your CV or should be prominent on your CV. There are some schools that if you are a graduate of that school, just put it at the bottom of your CV. So if your CV is a 3-pager, let it be maybe like the second to the last item on your CV. There are some schools that you need to put proudly on the first page because those schools are considered to be thorough and rigorous in their processes. So how do you apply? If you're applying to an online portal, fine, you have to upload your CV still. Or you could apply to an email. Usually such vacancies, there's always an email for you to send your email. So when applying, ensure that you're applying properly. And the basic rules are, the subject must be the job title you're applying for. So for instance, if it's an accounting role, the subject should be accountant or accounting opening, something like that.
Everybody's got talent, but are you actually the right talent for that particular role? Then again, what exactly are you prepared? When I mean the right talent, you have the right skills, you have the right qualification, experience. So all this, and also it has to do with your behavioral attributes for the role. So if you have all this, yes, maybe you could actually get qualified for the role. But when you don't have this, it becomes like a misfit for the role. What makes people unemployable is also a determinant of your readiness. Are you available? Are you actually what we want for that role?
At a point in my life, I actually did consider it. And I was back in school. I did consider going into Yahoo Yahoo.
All right, so what changed your mind?
It's something that when I tried to, I felt this adrenaline rush of being scared of being caught, being scared of sitting in jail. It's something that I did try for like a week, not even, it didn't take up to 2 weeks, just a week. And within that week, it's something I understood that, no, this is no way for me. Because, for example, there are a lot of youths that are just like me in the same markets that were into this business. And I've seen a whole lot of them that have bought cars just from this business, that have gotten a house just from this business.
There is no lady that is willing to do something that is illegal. Yeah. It's just due to the, what is it called? The bad economy in our country. Because I see myself as somebody that has really been focused from my childhood. There are some ladies that doesn't have patience in doing some things they do. That's why you see some runs girls around.
Our Nigerian youths won't try because go easy. At Ibere, kind of primary, from primary to secondary. Secondary, most of them are in university, not graduate. After graduation, on the serve, if you about a year, a little bit to be serve. So one serve, most of them want to say federal, or serve the federal, and one can serve in the states. Instead, to can't me one, síbẹ̀, on that one left. So I'm out quickly and most of them want online business, non she. About one agency, our youth not quite in business dancing.
So I feel a lot of people actually have this mindset of they want to go into legal ways and make it out of legal ways. So one day they can always say, back then I never had it, but today I have it because I set my mind into this market business and not the other shady business, because no one knows tomorrow.
The problem is not the guys from the outside. It's actually from the inside. You don't get any more respect at home anymore. The wifey doesn't respect you anymore. Your mother, your parents don't respect you anymore. And if you are fortunate that you have siblings who actually have jobs during that period, the parents, people around you tend to actually give the respect to those people. and you lose your respect as the elderly one. So the time I felt I lost was the time that I got into drinking, because people at home expect you to come back and they want to talk to you, they want to insult you, and to forget to get a deaf ear to the insult. You get to get drunk, get high, just come home and sleep. Whatever they're saying, you can't hear them. And it's a terrible mental state when you can't bring money out to feed your family. You can't bring money out to take care of the house. The worst part is when you go out in the mornings, early in the mornings to go and look for a job and come back in the evening, your neighbors are wondering, where does he go every day, as in, when it's time for them to pay for the woman that sweeps the floor, he can't pay. Time to pay for the rent, he can't pay. So where does he go every morning, But you can't stay at home as a man. But you still go out all day, come back at night, no luck. And then nobody at home is understanding that there's no luck, it happens. They're like, why would you have luck?
Most of my friends are already well made, and probably there are times when they will just call me, what's up? Knowing that I'm this kind of person that likes going to parties, I like going out. What's up, Roger? Come on, let's go out, let's hang out. But due to the fact that I'm jobless and probably have no cash on me, I will just respectfully decline the offer.
Both the private sector and individual have roles to play as far as employment-related issues are concerned. Take the private sectors, for example. Private sectors, or private sector rather, not sectors. The private sector have, they have to help to drive the public sectors in every area where it is failing. I give you a very good example. In the ongoing pandemic, the government of Nigeria has not been able to take to life any vaccine. Not because there are no researchers, not because there are no research institutes, but there were other factors that go into that space to make it happen. One of it is funding of research. We have to start changing the orientation of people. There is the mentality of quick wealth all around, all over the whole place, which is why a whole lot of young people are involved in Yahoo, in code, and all other things. And when you speak with them, they tell you, oh, it's because there are no jobs. That's why I have to go that way. But in the real sense, there is a due paying process period when people are supposed to commit to a job or a role or a work or a vocation and learn the ropes, become experts.
Everybody has a skill. Yeah. But it's just sacrificing the time and creating the time in making that thing grow in you.
When we talk about vocational trainings, right, I've come, just like you said, not like white collar jobs is not for everyone. I mean, we've come to realize that. At the moment at Jobberman, we are in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. We are upskilling about 5 million. Well, the mandate is 5 million young Nigerians over 5 years, right? And place 3 million of them in work. And of the 3 million of them that we are upskilling, some of the things that have come up is the importance of gig work, the importance of internship. So it's not just having a full-time employment, but having dignified employment, right? And blue-collar jobs also fall under dignified employment. However, because of the country that we're in, a lot of blue-collar jobs are not regarded as dignified, right? So you go anywhere outside the country, so maybe the developed world, and you have like a plumber, you have like a carpenter, and they are regarded and they are respected, right? However, in Nigeria, you have carpenters, you have plumbers, and most times those professions, although not white collar, are not regarded, right? So what we really would love to do is to make these blue collar jobs dignified. And how do we make them dignified? By teaching these people, or teaching people who are going through vocational trainings, the necessary skills that will make them stand out. So yes, white collar jobs are not the only answer when it comes to employment. Blue collar jobs as well are our answer to unemployment.
After all said and done, changing the public perception that white-collar jobs are the only dignified form of labor may just be a start in the eradication of the stigma of unemployment. More people are building businesses from their talents, passions, and hobbies.
It is not the hope of this feature to blame anyone for the never-ending tension between police and the citizens. However, it is certain that there is always a tension with most people when they approach a police checkpoint. Many factors are responsible for this tension, including not knowing what to expect or do, seeing the police as the enemy, or even being guilty of an infraction. Many issues that go wrong at a police checkpoint can be linked to lack of proper communication and understanding on the side of the police force and also on the side of the citizen. Here are some tips listed by the police force about comporting yourself at a police checkpoint. Endeavor to slow down your vehicle. It shows that you're not reckless. It also douses suspicion that you're a criminal and may want to speed off. Turn down the volume of your car stereo. Courtesy demands this. Besides, you are able to hear each other better. This simple act will help you win the confidence of the security operative. Keep your hands visible to avoid unnecessary suspicion or fear by the officers that you're attempting to bring out a gun or other harmful objects to attack them. Turn on the inner light of your vehicle while approaching the cops if at night. It readily sends an unspoken message that you have nothing to hide. But a little the mirror smiles back at you.
Officer will not come down. Let's see what you do. Don't mind this. We won't come down.
Endeavor to be polite when answering questions put to you by the officers. Don't dare or challenge an armed security man to a duel. Oftentimes you hear people say things like, "Shoot me if you can." Note that this is a recipe for disaster. It is a very provocative and unnecessary call for war. So please, play safe, more so as you do not know the state of mind of the officer concerned. Also, don't go into a physical fight with an armed security officer. He may resort to the use of his weapon to defend himself. Avoid unnecessary arguments with armed security personnel. There are 1,001 ways to seek redress where you feel your rights have been infringed upon. Never try to touch an officer in an unfriendly manner. He may suspect you of trying to disarm him. If you're a regular traveler or road user, make sure you have the police emergency phone numbers of the route you operate. You never can tell when an emergency situation could arise and you need the police to come to your aid. Make sure you have all your relevant car papers and desist from actions or inactions that constitute either a criminal or traffic offense. Such infractions of the law provide a veritable grounds for possible charges and other forms of adversarial contact with the police or other law enforcement agencies, including unnecessary arguments. Don't give the impression that you're unhappy to see the officer on his beat or that he's wasting your time. But if you do have an emergency, politely inform the officer. Don't speed off while still being checked. Take note of the name tags, force or service numbers, personal description of weapon or patrol vehicle of the security officer, especially where the officers begin to conduct themselves in an unprofessional manner. Seek an audience with the most senior officer at the checkpoint if things are not working out smoothly. Politely insist to be taken to the police station if your complaint is not properly addressed.
The hair industry is a multi-million naira business in Nigeria. The industry has experienced impressive growth in recent years. From the sale of hair extensions, wigs, and hair care products, it is a huge market and it is largely buoyed by patronage from women. Women are mostly identified by their hair, but does that mean without hair they have no identity? Definitely not. There is a condition called alopecia. It causes the partial or complete absence of hair from areas of the body where it normally grows. And for women who have it, they experience baldness. We met an alopecian, Jasmine Oguns, who shared her story with us.
Alopecia is an autoimmune disease, but we alopecians like to define it as an autoimmune condition, so we don't scare people. So alopecia is an autoimmune condition that happens when the immune system attacks the hair follicles, thereby causing partial or total hair loss. You know, the immune system is actually supposed to protect us from germs, diseases, and sickness. But in this case, the immune system attacks the hair follicles because it sees the hair follicles as a stranger to the body system, so it attacks it. And once the hair follicles get attacked, then there's a problem in the roots of hair growth. Yeah, so that's where hair loss starts from. I started having hair loss in 2004. That was my first year in school, in higher institution. Before then, I used to have very long hair, like very beautiful hair. And a particular day, I went to the salon and my hairstylist noticed a bald patch behind my head, just around here. It was very tiny, very insignificant, but she noticed it because she has been making my hair for a long time. Yeah, so she noticed it and called my attention to it again. So I became scared. I informed my mom about it, and my mom also didn't see it as a big issue. She just said it would grow back. And after a while, the patches started increasing and they started forming a map on my scalp. I stopped going to the salon to make my hair. It became a thing of concern, and someone told my mom it was lakpa caused by dandruff. But then I didn't have dandruff, so where did it come from? So she got sulfur, started applying sulfur on the scalp, but instead of it to get better, it got worse. That was how the alopecia journey started for me. How I knew it was alopecia. Okay, before I got to that point, it was the whole journey. Because after the Lapa episode, there was always an extended family member who would come up with one name or the other. In fact, it metamorphosed to spiritual problem. So they tagged it a spiritual problem. I know in this part of the world, anything we don't know is automatically a spiritual problem. So that was when the frustration started. They started taking me from one pastor to another, and because most of these people, they're about what they can get into their pockets, they second, you know, and it was really traumatizing, you know, and I didn't know until after 10 years. Yeah, I didn't know it was alopecia until after 10 years. So I'll share a bit of my experience in that journey. First, some pastors said someone took my hair to the ocean. That's why I don't have hair. But there are some sacrifices here and there that we could perform that would make my hair grow. So I had times that I killed cows. I had times that I killed chickens. There were times we just give out the cows raw, like the meat, the pieces, you know, raw like that. There were times we cook and feed people with it, just in the quest for my hair to grow back. And there were other ugly experiences I had, to ugly encounters I had of some spiritual men asking to have some form of intimacy with me before my hair could grow. Like, it was really traumatizing. It was annoying. It was frustrating, because at some point I got depressed, and I got to meet with a dermatologist who introduced some hairsprays to me that I used. It didn't work. And the moment I stopped using the spray, my hair fell off. In fact, at this point, I now lost my hair completely because the spray did not work. You understand? So it triggered some other hormones, and then I lost my hair completely. So I became completely bald. You know, initially, it was just in patches. And then after applying those sprays, I lost my hair completely. And I used that spray for a period of 1 year and 6 months. And at that time, a spray cost 15,000 naira. So I must use a can, like I must buy a new can every fortnight. It was a fortnight thing. I was buying a new can every fortnight. And I administered it for a year and a half. But instead of it to get better, it got worse. And I still did not stop. I wanted a solution. I wanted my hair back. So I approached another dermatologist who placed me on a wrong medication. And because I was so desperate, I didn't even bother to ask, what is this thing you're placing me on? What is this medication for? I didn't know he was using me as a specimen. For every time I got 0.1 mg, I took 5 as a dose. For every time I got 0.5 mg, I took 10 as a dose. So that was an abuse. And I discovered that my memory was diminishing. So at that point, I had to stop. But it had already caused some damage, and I became depressed. And I became suicidal as well. So at some point, I became suicidal. I almost died because I made a suicidal attempt. But thank God my mother was at home on that particular day, and she saved me. So it has been from one bad encounter, one bad experience to another, until 2015, when I decided I was going to do a personal research to know what exactly my problem was. And that was how I stumbled on the word alopecia on the internet. And I realized it was a condition, or it is a condition. Like what I've been going through actually has a name, and the name is alopecia. So that was how I got to know that the condition is alopecia. I started embracing myself in 2015. Yeah, that was when I did the personal research that I became aware. And okay, I stumbled on a particular lady's story online, and I started following her up. Her daughter has alopecia, and I saw the way she instilled confidence in her daughter at every stage that her daughter was encountering. Like, it started with bald patch. From one bald patch, it increased to patches, and then she lost almost everything, and there were just few strands of hair left. I saw the way she would pack the hair into ponytail and go everywhere with it, you know. So I admired that. But I noticed that while I was doing my research, I didn't really see much of black people with the same condition. There were more of white people. And within me, I resolved that I could be a strength to other people, especially black people who are going through this same experience, who are experiencing the same thing. Because looking back to how my journey started, it wasn't funny. And at that point, I knew there were people who were going through worse situation than what I went through. So I decided I was going to be a voice to other people. I was going to stand my ground and create awareness. Though in the process of doing that, I opened up to a few persons, media personnel, who did not really understand my story, and they made a mess of it because I wanted to do a come-out video, you get? So they made a mess of it and turned it to a comedy skit. That was when I knew there's really no bad publicity, because that was when I met my deputy, Moshudat Badmus. I was really sad about it because the whole thing went bad for me. You know, it went viral. A lot of people saw it. A lot of people misunderstood the message because they actually did not pass the message right. A lot of people misunderstood it. So it went sour, and she came online, saw the ridicule and everything, and she started fighting for me. So she was like the voice I didn't have at that downtime, at that point in time. So I approached her and I was like, you seem to know about alopecia. Do you have alopecia? She said yes. He needed to see the joy that I felt that day. Like, I didn't feel that kind of joy in 10 years. I was so excited. I was so happy. I contacted her immediately. We started talking, and before you knew it, I was on my way to, then she was in Ogun State. I was on my way to Ogun State from Kaduna. I took a trip to Ogun State just to meet her because, you know, it was relieving for you to see someone or know that there's someone who can relate, you know, to whatever it is you were going through. Because before then, people around me could not understand. There were times I wanted to talk. I wanted to just, you know, explain how I was feeling, but I didn't have people to talk to, because even when I talk, they don't understand. You understand? It was more like a mental thing for me. But when I met her, it was relieving. I felt so much relief because she could relate. Yeah, she understood where I was coming from, and that was how the foundation journey started.
The National Alopecia Areata Foundation states that alopecia affects about 147 million people in the world, and according to Africa Prime News, there are over 100,000 persons living with alopecia in Nigeria.
It has not been easy running the Heroic Alopecia Foundation because, okay, one thing is for people to know what their condition is. Another thing is for them to come out, right? So, like I said, when I met Moshudat, that was when the foundation journey started. Though I'd already started single-handedly before I met her, and then we took the race together, and we continued the race. Then some other members joined, and we grew to about 13 members, and in the process, we got to know more. We got to know that alopecia is actually a journey. You get? Some would accept the fact that this is what it is. Some may never accept it. But it's a good thing that you are aware that this is what the problem is, right? And we realize that a lot of people are out there suffering that don't know what this condition is. And they really need to know, because if you know that you have a problem and you know what that problem is, I think your problem is half solved already. So what we do basically is try to reach out to people, try to create awareness. Thanks to BBC Pidgin, I was featured on BBC Pidgin last year, and as a result of that publicity, our member strength grew from 13 to 70. Yeah, so right now we have 70 members. Majority are Nigerians. We have few of them in Ghana, some in Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Senegal, America, London. So we still feel there's a need for us to create more awareness, because if you'd ask for my opinion, I would say only 2% of people in Nigeria are aware of this condition called alopecia. I think a lot has to be done, a lot needs to be done concerning awareness. There was a training I went for recently at Nikkei Art Gallery, and on the first few days of the training, I didn't go with my wig. I didn't wear my wig, and nobody really paid attention to the fact that I don't have hair. I only got comments like, your hairstyle is nice, and because of what I went there for, I didn't have that time to explain to them that it's not a hairstyle, but a health condition. Until after 5 days, I decided to wear my wig. So I went there with a wig, and after a while, I started feeling uncomfortable with my wig on, so I removed it. And people were like, it's better. You look better without your wig than with your wig. So another question popped up from someone else, that why the hairstyle? What inspired the hairstyle? And I told them it's not a hairstyle, but it's a health condition. So that got a lot of people's attention, and they're like, oh really, it's a health condition, tell us about it. So while I was talking, I heard whispers of two persons arguing about one Tope somewhere that has a similar condition, and the other person said, no, it's not the same. Tope's case is spiritual. You know, they were arguing in their dialect, in Kaba actually. So I heard and I paused and asked, why did you say Tope's condition is spiritual? He said, because hers is not completely off like mine. She has patches and all. I said, yes, the patch is a form of alopecia actually. Like, there are different types of alopecia. Hers is alopecia areata. That's the medical term for her condition. And they're like, oh really? I said, yes. So I went as far as explaining to them that there's also a condition called alopecia totalis, where it's just limited to the head alone. You know, the hair loss is limited to the head alone. And I also explained about alopecia universalis, where the victim loses the lashes, the brows, and every other part of the body that has hair. And they were amazed. So when they told me a lot about Tope, I told them I was interested in meeting Tope. But guess what? Tope is dead. Tope died as a result of isolation. Tope died as a result of stigmatization. I also heard of the story of one woman in Benue State that died as a result of stigmatization. She was tagged a witch because her hair stopped growing, and she was isolated, far away from people. You know, they stopped giving her food, and that was how she died. I also heard of some girls in Benin who were constantly tied and flogged with broom because they have alopecia. And at the moment, we have two parents in Kaduna who are representing their sons because they are kids. One is 6 years old, the other one is 7. There's this belief in the north, when strange things happen to you, they just assume you have anjanu, like a spiritual problem, like evil spirits. I think anjanu is evil spirits. And they kept burning their scalps with fire, that they are chasing away the anjanu, until they met me. Someone actually told me about them, and I went to visit the family. So when I got there and I removed my wig, I saw the relief. You know, there was this sigh of relief that, oh, okay, so this thing is not happening to our son alone. There are other people who have this thing, and it's a medical condition. You understand? So a lot needs to be done concerning awareness.
Alopecia can affect anyone regardless of age and gender, and in many cases, it takes a toll on their relationships.
To an extent, alopecia has affected my relationship with people, because I remember back then in school, when it started at first, I didn't start covering it immediately. I still rocked it, and after a while, I started covering it with a scarf. And my friends were surprised, like, when did you start covering your hair? You were not like this, what's the problem? And some of them just tried to be naughty and they pulled the scarf off. And when they realized that there was something strange about my head, some gave space. The naughty ones tagged it a name. Some started calling me an alien. Like when I applied the spray and everything fell off, like I lost every strand of hair on my body. I'm talking about my lashes, my brows, every part of my body. I didn't have hair. I had a friend who was constantly calling me an alien, like to my face. and people would laugh about it. It became embarrassing at some point. And then relationship, yeah, I had a major relationship then that failed as a result of alopecia because my supposed to-be mother-in-law called off the wedding introduction, 3 days to the wedding introduction, because of fear of the unknown. You know, she didn't want a situation whereby our grandchildren would have hair loss problems, so she called off the wedding introduction, not minding how far we had gone and then the preparation for the event and all that. Then the last disappointment I got to was as a result of alopecia, because I went for a consultation with the person I was dating at that time, and he heard all the medical advice I got about me. Like the dermatologist advised that I should not bother myself because at this stage, at this point, the hair loss has really it has gotten to an advanced stage where my hair might not grow anymore, you understand? So he heard all of that, and his countenance changed on our way home. So out of curiosity, I tried to question him about his mood and everything, and he said he's scared, doesn't want to raise kids that would not have hair. So to a great extent, alopecia has affected my relationship with people. Alopecia has really affected my family in a lot of ways. Like my mom, right now, she still does not accept the fact that it is a medical condition. She's yet to come to terms with the fact that it's a medical condition. She still feels that there's more to it and the hair would grow. Yes, the hair could grow because alopecia actually has a mind of its own. The way it decides to go off, like the way your hair decides to go off, it could just decide to start growing overnight. That's another mysterious thing about alopecia because it has to do with your immune system. So your immune system might just decide, okay, I want to be good, I want to be perfect, and then your hair starts growing again, you understand? So it has really affected my family because I remember when I didn't know what it was, I was constantly being stigmatized because my mother would always have a scarf or a cap or something beside her. And the moment someone knocks at the door, she's throwing it at me to cover my head. I didn't like that part. I didn't like the fact that I could not just be myself, you know, and feel free like every other person. I didn't like the fact that I have to always cover my head, you know. And another thing is it became a prayer request. Like till now, it's still a prayer request. Everyone is always praying at some point, at one point or the other, for my hair to grow back. Yeah, so it has really affected my family, not just me.
1 in 20 people with alopecia also has a family member who has experienced the condition, which implies that most people that have alopecia usually don't have family members with this condition.
I'm not too sure that the awareness is really there. Having said so, I mean, if we think about the patients who come into the clinic, alopecia is, at least what I would say, some studies have shown that it's one of the top 10 dermatology consultations. And because the world is generally getting more visual, everybody's more concerned about appearance, and we talk about quality of life and all this. So you're seeing a lot more patients coming in. They're coming in. Areata in itself, a lot of people don't know. I don't think the awareness is really, really there. But remember that when you are dealing with a specialty, so if we talk in the general population, maybe no. But if you come into the specialty community, specialty hospital, we will see we have a bit, a high enough number of cases. But I would say if you just ask for the general population, no. And so to the next question of how can we make them more aware of what you're doing? If we have people who suffer from, I remember that because of the stigma of alopecia, everybody knows that a woman's hair is supposed to be like her crowning glory. She wants to do things with it. She wants to look well. You don't really want to cover it. But with wigs and weaves, nobody knows who has what. Now, a lot of women will just take it out. So you don't know who has a problem because of the stigma or the quality of life. Very, very significant impact on the quality of life. So people are hiding. People are not able to get, and some people go to those who don't really know what to do. Some people, the salon, the hairstylist, who should almost be like your first sort of, oh, madam or girl, as the case may be, what's happening to your hair? Do you think you need to see somebody? Most times they might give you their own version of what they think works, and the hair loss is worsening. Where ideally, if you present early enough in alopecia areata, you may just be able to break that autoimmunity.
Alopecia often develops suddenly over the course of just a few days. This condition affects the mental health of the victims and sometimes makes them withdrawn.
Dealing with stigmatization before I became aware was not easy. I had days that I cried. I had days I didn't want to see anybody. Like, I locked myself up in the room for days, for weeks. There were days I didn't want to see my immediate family members, my downtime and all, as a result of stigmatization. Like I mentioned earlier, that there was a time I was depressed. It was as a result of stigmatization, because I felt stigmatized by everybody, even those that were close to me. You know, at every point in time, I was expecting people to show me love. So at every moment that I don't, at every time that I don't get that kind of love that I expect, you know, I feel stigmatized. So it was really ugly for me. But the moment I got to know that this is what it is, I became free. You know, I got some form of liberty, I got some form of liberation, and I don't get stigmatized anymore. So when people try to mock me now, I just laugh at their ignorance. And if I have the opportunity to educate them, I don't hesitate.
Alopecia can cause a lot of anxiety and sadness. It is important we have more support groups in the society to help people living with alopecia deal with the psychological effects of this condition.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Senate asked the federal government to withhold allocations to local councils not democratically elected. And in Ondo State, the Speaker of the Ondo House of Assembly, Olamide Oladiji, has revealed President Tinubu asked Ayedatiwa to tender undated resignation letter. I am Gola Oba, and this is Plus Politics. The Senate has asked the federal government to withhold statutory allocations to any local government councils not democratically elected. The upper chamber unanimously resolved that this move would deter the dictatorial tendencies of any state governor. This resolution comes against the backdrop of a motion moved by Senator Abba Moro on the urgent need to halt the erosion of democracy vis-a-vis the dissolution of elected councils in Benue State. The lawmakers argued that the placement of caretaker committees to replace elected councils is an aberration, undemocratic, and a breach of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. Joining us live is Nasarawa Chairman of Association of Local Government of Nigeria, Algon Alhaji Aminu Muazu. My fact, we'll go on a short break. We'll soon be back. Welcome back. We had technical issues connecting with our first guest. We moved to the second topic for the day, and we are very grateful to our guest who is literally on as we speak. The Speaker of the Ondo State House of Assembly, Olamide Oladiji, has revealed that as part of efforts at ending the political crisis in the state, President Bola Tinubu had asked the Deputy Governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, to tender an undated resignation letter. And despite moves by President Tinubu and the leadership of All Progressives Congress APC to resolve the political crisis currently rocking governance in that state, the issues seem to be piling up by the day as the State Assembly has demanded the resignation letter of Aiyedatiwa as proposed by Non-Plus Politics.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Well, the name is pronounced Perete.
Perete, thank you very much. I was just about saying, I hope I've not murdered the name. I really wouldn't like to be accused of murder, you know. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. What is happening in your state? Just when we thought we had made some steps in the direction of progress, the crisis seems to be recalibrating and moving in the direction of discombobulation. What is happening?
Well, you will recall that immediately they returned from Abuja, I issued a statement to say that what President Tinubu has done amounts to window dressing, that the issues have not been addressed, and that as long as the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, remains in hiding, as it were, it means there is not going to be respite, and the siege was still on. But 2 days after, we saw the first fireworks, and we were told reliably that the deputy governor was not in know of it. But before we knew it, we went to court. The court did not give us a date, but we actually issued a statement saying that what they did was an illegality, because as far as the Constitution of Nigeria is concerned, local governments are supposed to be administered by democratically elected officials. That is Section 7 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. But they have not done that. Yesterday, the High Court in Ondo State gave us an order restraining them from swearing the illegal chairman. But we're told that by around 7, 8 p.m., they hurriedly went to the Cocoa Conference Hall and swore them in. So we have not seen the last of this crisis. It has just started as far as I'm concerned.
As the official opposition party, we know this is the presidential system of government and we don't quite have something akin to official opposition party as you have in the parliamentary system of government. But the PDP would ordinarily be referred to as the leading opposition party in the state. What are the options that the PDP has at this juncture beyond noise making? You must have some constitutional remedies. Do you have members in the State House of Assembly, don't you?
Yeah, we are 4 members. You know, what we are having in those states is quite embarrassing. And statesmen, elder statesmen like Chief Ruben Fashoranti, we have also proposed that he should honorably resign because as it is now, Ondo State is drifting. Nobody is in charge of the affairs of Ondo State. There is no governor, there is no deputy governor. The third in rank, which is the Speaker of Assembly, has been embroiled in a crisis with the deputy governor in the state. So, but the House of Assembly is operating, you know, not as on the basis of parties. Once they enter plenary, or once they enter the one that they call executive session, according to them, they operate together. So it is not the matter of whether this person is PDP or this person is.
I would suppose that statement that once they enter executive session, they operate together is an indictment of your party. That your members in the House of Assembly are lacking ideological commitment. They have no respect for the Nigerian Constitution, and they go in cahoot with the majority party that is seemingly slapping the Constitution black and blue.
No, I've not said that. If you remember the processes that were involved, at a particular time, 11 members of the 26 members of Assembly were opposed to the impeachment. The 4 members, the PDP members in that assembly, are part of the 11. So we cannot say that they are working together with the APC majority. I've not said that. What I said was that at a time when some lists were making the rounds about signatures, one of the members from the PDP, that's the minority leader of the House, said that the list that was seen in public domain with the signature was the list they signed for attendance in one of their meetings. It was not for impeachment. But as it were, it was difficult for him to come to the public and make that known so that it should not be a case of the majority suspending the minority, which happens all the time. We saw it in Edo State, where the governor made sure that some members of the assembly were suspended, and for a period of almost 3.5 years. You also need some tact so that you don't get expelled, you don't get removed from parliament, and you'll be helpless, even though they don't have such powers. So that is exactly what I mean, that when they enter into executive session, they operate as a body, not as this one is PDP or this one is APC, not because they are collaborating with the so-called majority.
However, the Constitution also has a provision that empowers the lower house of the National Assembly in a crisis situation like this, especially where you have an aberrant House of Assembly, to take over the powers of the State House of Assembly. And I would suppose at this juncture, the members of the PDP, both from Ondo State and at large in the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, ought to be articulating the implementation of that provision now. Don't you think so?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the issues are still being pursued because there is a provision, a constitutional provision, which says that if the governor is unable to perform the duties of his office or the president, beyond a particular point, maybe beyond 21 days. I think section 190, subsection 2, it says that the deputy governor is supposed to be empowered through the doctrine of necessity to act in the position of the governor, which is what we have asked the Ondo State House Assembly to do, and they have not done. But in this case, what is clear to the public is that the Speaker of the Ondo State House Assembly is a master of impunity. He is somebody who has made up his mind that he will stand against the will of the people, the wishes of the people, and continue to take instructions from wherever source is taking this instruction from. For example, how on earth can a speaker say that he was constituting caretaker committees when the Constitution clearly states that elections and democratically elected officials are supposed to run the affairs of the local government? So is it not the case of the lawmaker breaking the law? So Oladipo has clearly shown himself as incompetent and against the wishes of the people. So we are still in court in several of these cases.
I hope, Kennedy, I hope you know the difference between what is called politicking and realpolitik. Kennedy, any reasonable Nigerian will agree with you that mountains of illegalities are literally being, are metaphorically being built in Ondo State. But the problem that an average, reasonable, well-educated, well-enlightened Nigerian would have is that what beyond the histrionics of talk, and talk is cheap. What is a party like PDP doing? Are you taking recourse to the law? Because as we speak, the Speaker of the House of Assembly and the controlling party in the House of Assembly are no bigger than the rule of law. And the only machinery that you have to articulate the effectiveness of the rule of law, we don't seem to see you guys articulating it. So is it just going to be you'll be speaking grammar, and the illegality will be going on?
Let me explain to you, please. Now, you said whether there is a difference between politics and realpolitik. I don't know about that. But what I can tell you is that when this matter started, apart from beyond issuing statements, beyond issuing press statements, we staged a protest in which I'm sure you are aware that armored personnel carrier was moved to our office to seal it up by the Commissioner of Police for days. And yesterday, we have a court injunction restraining the government of Ondo State, anybody for that matter, from swearing in local government administrators or local government chairmen. At night, at about 8 o'clock, 9 p.m. in the night, they went and swore in these people against a court order that is before them that they were served with this injunction. So when you are talking about people that are flagrantly, stamping on the Constitution of Nigeria and stamping on the interests of the people, what else can we do? We are in court, even in this case of the assembly, and the swearing in of this illegal local government chairman. Then, as per enforcing the law to making Ondo State benefit from governance, because since the act of the chief of the state is breaking the law, nobody is in charge of anything. So we are trying to go to court, but the courts don't. We are not the judges. It is what they give us. Even this matter that was decided yesterday, we filed on the 13th of November. We didn't get a date until yesterday. So it is what we can do is just within the law. The policeman came and said about that we cannot even proceed on a legitimate protest. And our rights as Nigerians is enshrined, is constitutionally granted guarantee that we can demonstrate, we can move freely. But they stopped us. We went to court, but they said since they have released our office, we are free to go. So these are the things we are talking. State protests, go to court, approach the court. I hear that one now. I say, come and be an acting governor. Or go to Aketi, wherever he is, and bring him to Ondo State. As we speak, we don't even know where he is. The people that are managing him have not told us where Aketi is. And for more than 6 months, nobody has seen this man in public space. What are we talking about?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we saw pictures of Southwest APC governors in a camaraderie session with him, reportedly in his house in Ibadan. But that does not, what is happening in Ondo State is saddening. For a man who, for the better part of his adult life, had epitomized, and I'm choosing my words carefully, had epitomized the rule of law, the integrity of the law, to be the chief dramatis persona. Now that all these illegalities are built around, it's saddening. But you know what? Politics sometimes, the way you partisans play it, and none of you can be said to be innocent. I'm sitting here now feeling frustrated as a Nigerian, feeling abused, and yet, I can't blame you. You've tried the way of the courts. The speaker reportedly, allegedly, from what you said now, deliberately disrespected the order of the court yesterday. So you've told us, allegedly. I'm not affirming it. But what else can be done? This madness has to be tackled.
What the Speaker of the House of Assembly and those working in cahoots with him are asking for is anarchy. Because in a state where laws are not obeyed, laws are put in place for the order of society, for the good of well-being of the state. So in a situation whereby somebody flagrantly abuses the law, is tramples on the law, and says, what can you do? It means we're asking for anarchy. If a man slaps you, maybe you go to court. Say, look, somebody has slapped you.
I wouldn't want to encourage you, Kennedy, especially for somebody who holds a very lofty office of, very lofty office in a major political party, to speak as though you are encouraging violence.
Well, I'm saying, even if the President Jeff Kennedy says so, those who make peaceful change impossible, make a violent change inevitable. That's what I'm saying. That it's an invitation to.
I'm basically counseling, especially yourself, that you must be very, very determined not to be seen to be encouraging violence. Number one,
I have not said so. I'm only stating the obvious. I'm not condemning you, but I have a duty too to make sure that you are made to realize that some of your emotive pronouncements can be misconstrued by those who are ill-educated, who are not as exposed as you are, and that is why it is incumbent on me to make sure that I let you realize that you have a duty, especially to a system that you are profiting from, to be very circumspect in your use of language. No, what do you mean by profiting from? Is this situation profiting from in what sense? I'm a Nigerian. I'm not in government.
No, you are the spokesperson of one of the two major parties in Nigeria. Yes, in a state of anarchy, there wouldn't be room for you to even sit.
I think it's better that you get me clearly. It's better you get me clearly. What I said, those who make peaceful change impossible.
I'm familiar with the dictum. I'm familiar with the dictum. I'm familiar with the dictum, Kennedy, and I know how. I'm equally very, very angry. I must be very honest with you, and it's so much painful because on a previous occasion that Aketi stood for the integrity of the Constitution and our laws. he actually counseled somebody who was in the same situation that he is in now to resign. If Aketi resigns today, it will not be in penury. It will not be hungry. It will not lack anything that will still protect his life and give him the dignity of an upper class life in Nigeria. So why are people now determined to push him in the direction of stigmatizing his legacy? Because at this juncture, Aketi's legacy as a human being is practically being stigmatized. I think it's about time members of his family, close members of his family, and people, the hangers on who think they are profiting from this, they are rubbishing his legacy. My opinion, it doesn't make it this thing, but this is saddening, very saddening.
It's unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate that Ondo State is in this state of affairs, because Ondo State is, populated by very cerebral and people who are well-to-do in every walk of life. But where we have found ourselves is quite unfortunate, and we are using the opportunity to plead with those that are holding Ondo State by the jugular, that they should release Ondo State so that we can have peace in Ondo State, we can have governance in Ondo State the way it ought to be. Anybody can be ill. Nobody is challenging the fact that Akedi, why should it be ill? No, why not? Anybody can be ill. But the Constitution provides for a situation like this. So once it happens, there is a constitutional safeguard which must lash onto for the state to move forward, which is what some people are holding back, including the Speaker of the National Assembly. For example, how can anybody tell a man that was duly elected to bring a letter of resignation that is not dated? Where on earth is it hide? Where has that kind of thing ever happened before? It's ridiculous, and it's actually making Ondo State look like, people don't even know what they are doing. And just a few people are doing all of this. And we are using the opportunity to plead with them that it will be in their own very best interest, because there's posterity in everything we do. There's history. I'm going to record for everybody which role individuals played in this drama. And we are just doing our own part as much as we are able to do, using the law as our guide.
This issue of Aiyedatiwa having been made by the president to sign an undated letter of resignation, one does not know how far that is true, but I just pray it's not true. And the reason why I pray it's not true is that His Excellency the President may be walking a very, very thin line of decency on that subject for a man who, for a time in his life, stood against the Gorgon Medusa of autocracy, fought for democracy, had to go to exile for democracy, being privy. I just pray it's not true. And you see, I don't suppose people like you two or people
the Speaker said so. Speaker of the Ondo State Assembly said so in plenary. It is in black and white. He said so. It's on tape. I'm not the person saying it.
I understand your point, Kennedy. But at this juncture, I am not one that respects that speaker so much anymore, because he could say anything. A character like that could say anything to either want to bamboozle those who are not standing with him, or wanting to machinate, his own selfish ambition. Because all this, to any political tea leaf reader, all this is about the ambitions, the vaulting ambitions of these characters. Or am I wrong?
Because, very correct, sir. What I said in some of the statements I issued earlier was that I expected Mr. President, who is also a veteran in this business of politics, to know that what is at stake is the 2024 elections coming up in Ondo State. Who will succeed Aketi in the APC? So it is a fireworks that is connected with who becomes the successor to Aketi to pick the APC ticket. Now, whatever is worse, Aiyedatiwa is deputy governor, and he has a constitutional duty or responsibility to take over from Aketi if Aketi is incapacitated in this manner. But those who are also eyeing the governorship seat know that if Aiyedatiwa becomes acting governor, they will be at a disadvantage in the contest for the APC ticket. This is the underlying factor. This is what is behind all the fireworks I've seen.
I hope some of those who advise the president will remember that they literally, including the president, literally took to the streets when it was necessary to help articulate the emergence of the then Vice President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to have the Constitution work as it ought to work for him. And now, Kennedy, how do you want to end this? We really have to go now.
Yeah, let me say that the problems that we have in Ondo State are being inflamed by the president himself, because if some people are becoming difficult to deal with, are refusing court orders, he has that wit, he has that act, he has that strength. He's the leader of the party in the APC, he's the president of the country, so it should have been able to streamline this operation, especially because after the Yaradua Jonathan incident, the National Assembly inserted this section into the Constitution that if a situation like this happens, that the doctrine of necessity be invoked, as in Section 190, subsection 2. So there would have been no ambiguity as to what. Imagine a president calling a meeting of that nature, and Aketi is not able to attend. That in itself is a statement. It means that if it were not something serious that was holding him down.
Okay, Kennedy, I feel you, as they say on the streets. I really pray that we always throw Christianese and Pentecostalism into it in Nigeria, but it's about time this unedifying situation in Ondo State ended. About time it ended. Thank you very much, Kennedy.
Thank you.
Thank you for gracing the show. Today's throwback. Jos, a city that defines Nok antiquity, modern mining, and cosmopolitanism. In the depths of a giant nation that Nigeria is, among the rolling hills and lush landscapes, lies the city of Jos, a place whose history is as rich as the deposits of cassiterite, that is, the mineral from which at the dawn of the 1900s drew the exploitative attention of the British colonialists, who lured in laborers from all the major tribes of Nigeria, is derived. As the sun rises over the picturesque plateau, it illuminates a land that has been shaped by the footprints of ancient civilizations and the imprint of colonial rule, fostering a unique natural tapestry that weaves together the stories of the Nok people and the legacy of British influence. Long before the arrival of the colonialists, the land that would come to be known as Nigeria was home to the enigmatic Nok people, skilled artisans whose exquisite terracotta sculptures still captivate the imagination of modern-day archaeologists. The Nok people, thought to have thrived around 1000 before Christ, in the vicinity of today's city of Jos and the sprawling Nok Valley, which reaches far out to parts of Kaduna, indeed Kwara. left behind a trail of mastery and mystery. With their sudden disappearance in the late first millennium shrouded in the mist of time, the echoes of the Nok people lingered in the fertile soil of Jos as indigenous ethnic groups, predominantly farmers, cultivated the land and forged their own traditions and ways of life. As the wheels of history turned, the British colonialists cast their gaze upon the beautiful land, enticed by the discovery of vast deposits of cassiterite, the primary ore for the production of tin. The allure of mineral wealth led to the establishment of Jos as an important center for tin mining, forever altering the course of its history. The British, under the governance of direct rule, remember that the Fulani never conquered the aboriginals of the Benue Plateau territory, made their presence felt in Jos Plateau, a marked divergence from the indirect rule they employed in the Fulani Emirates. As the colonialists set foot on the soil of Jos, a coalition of cultures unfolded, with the indigenous ethnic groups navigating the complexities of a changing world while preserving the essence of their heritage. The rhythms of everyday life intertwined with the cadence of colonial influence, shaping the trajectory of the metropolis which Jos became and its people. Amidst the backdrop of tin mines and trading hubs, Jos emerged as a testament to resilience, inclusivity, and adaptation, a melting pot of tradition and transformation. The spirit of the Nok people found new expression in the midst of modernity, their legacy interwoven with the narrative of progress and perseverance. Against the enrapturing backdrop of rolling hills, the city stood as a testament to the enduring spirit of its inhabitants, who wove the fabric of their lives with threads of history and hope. In the heart of Jos, the history of resistance of tribal domination and millennia of anthropological artisanal mastery converge, creating a tapestry that captures the essence of a city shaped by the forces of change and the echoes of the past. I am Bola Oba.
My name is Akin Adeoya. Let me add my voice to this laudable project, the Good Old Days series. My major focus will basically be on my passion for reading while growing up, the extent I went in funding this habit, lessons learned, and values associated with the correctional methods employed by my dear mother of blessed memory. How did this adventure into Storyland begin? My earliest memory of how it all started was my mom gathering us for informal afternoon and weekend storytelling sessions. She would tell us the irresistible and fantastic stories by authors like Sir Rider Haggard, King Solomon's Mines, by Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice, and the like. Yes, she clearly had fun telling these stories, with the way she used to repeat the names of some of the characters with emphasis. Tuala the King, Gagool the Wish, Captain John Good. Firstly, let me share what I call my carton room experience and how it shaped my views in my growing up years. Though of Ifaki Kiti origin, I grew up in Sapele and Lagos. The carton room was a room devoted to storing hundreds of cartons of Skol beer, either empty or full, because my mom used to be a beer distributor for an Ughelli-based company called Superbrew, and even ran a chemist on the side. At the same time, she was a nurse, a midwife, with Sapele Health Center. The carton room was my secret hiding place. I loved to go there and do things privately. At just about 12, I already had a whole need for privacy. You see, the many cartons provided a million hiding places for my secret things. Not all the things I did there was bad. That was the room, sitting among the scattered cartons and bottles, where my innocence was shattered, reading hundreds of pulp fiction novels and plays. In that private world, nothing outside mattered. All I wanted to do was get up and run to the neighborhood bookshop to get the next James Alley Chase or some Pacesetter paperback. In my mind, I had an easy familiarity with America, England, Vietnam, Russia, and many of the great cities of the world. Even though I had never been there, I was a citizen of the world by virtue of my readings. My eventual adventure into African stories gave me a powerful sense of identity. From Chinua Achebe's Arrow of God to Ngugi wa Thiong'o's The River Between, Grain of Wheat, Kamala Laye's Weep Not Child, to Aiki Uyama's The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. It was a wildfire of politics, mystery, romance, war, and peace, all in the mix. Mine was the story of a young man in formation. Let me quickly reveal that I also love to steal into Olympia Cinema, which used to be very famous in Sapele at the time. It was at the very end of Okpe Road, the most commercial road in Sapele, to watch Indian movies and other popular American movies. I also had a once-in-a-lifetime experience of watching the epic by Hubert Ogunde titled Jayesimi. This was in the early 80s. How does the 12-year-old finance this rich taste in books, music, and culture? I started by helping myself to leftover coins on the table, by the bedside, in the pockets. I became bolder in my desperation to finance my addiction. I would pop into Dad's room and rummage through his jacket. Sometimes I would watch Mommy's use milk tin, where she used to keep money from sales. Many times I was caught in the act, and then my parents, both of them, would unleash hell. I would get an insane flogging with the used fan belt of my father's car. It was terrible. But my mother could see that the beatings were not working, that the stone in my heart was gradually becoming a diamond, and that if nothing was done, this boy could go over the edge. One day she caught me red-handed, then walked into the carton room, looked straight into my eyes and asked, "My son, Aki, should I kneel down for you?" This struck me as very odd and I stiffened. I could see the tears well up in her eyes and it almost broke my heart in two. How can I cause her so much pain? This woman that I love so much. It was this time a different kind of fear, born of love and admiration. She continued, "Don't you know it is very wrong to steal? That's why I want to kneel down to beg you to stop. It will destroy your life if you don't stop. Pause and touch me. That's why I want to kneel and beg you to stop. Let me kneel." I was alarmed that she would do it. It suddenly occurred to me that this wasn't a game between me and my parents, that there was something much bigger at stake. It was my very first attempt to grasp the eternal conflict between utility and morality. Until this day, I can still hear the clanging as the coins dropped. "You must promise me never to do this again." And that was it. One amazing thing about her was she never doubted my word. And also, I never lied to her. Lessons learned. If your child lies to you, that means you must have been overreacting to his past errors. Take it easy, parents. Now, let's leave those childhood fantasies and talk about the reading culture. How many of our children these days crave for reading books and stories that can enrich their knowledge and broaden their views on global matters? Do we even have mentors who are willing to ignite the youth's passion for reading? Just like my mother did, I once read a sad commentary that if you want to hide an item from an African, you don't want him to find it, hide it inside the book, because it will never open to read it. So sad. That was not the norm in those good old days. How did we get here? How or when did that passion and quest for knowledge take flight in our lives as a nation? What do we need to do to bring back those cherished good old days when we compete with the number of books read and not with the number of social outings attended? Is it too late to change the narrative? No. We can bring back that reading culture. Our children must not only be told these stories, they must be made to read them. The will to make the difference is all we need. Our children certainly deserve a brighter and better tomorrow, not the good old days. I therefore join Sir Shemore Badijo, in this collective drive towards a greater tomorrow. Thank you.
I left Nigeria back as far as 2012, and it was a very funny story. As you can see from my social media pages, my best food is amala. So I worked after work. I'm a medical doctor, full-time doctor. After work, I went to this famous place in Oshogbo where they have amala, just next to my hospital. So while I was there, I sat down with the food, and then I saw this newspaper advert saying doctors needed urgently in Saudi Arabia. So I abandoned my plate of amala. The rewards were just amazing, and I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, free accommodation, free flights. I was earning, you know, I was going to earn like times 20, you know, of what I earned at the time, in dollars as well. So I packed my bags, went home, packed my bags off to Lagos. I was at Ikeja for the interview. Like immediately? Immediately, I left the amala, went home, packed my bags, and off I went to Lagos. The next day I went for the interview, did the interview. There were loads and loads of people there. Did the interview and got picked, and I was on my way to Saudi Arabia. So from Nigeria, I worked in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, and then I walked around the Middle East, Dubai, Oman, Bahrain, and from there, while I was working, I was writing my exams to work in the UK and the Republic of Ireland. So from there, I got a lecturing position in the UK, and then I was able to pass my exams within that time. So I got my licenses to be able to practice in Europe. So at the moment, I can practice in Europe, I can practice in New Zealand, I can practice in the Middle East, and of course in Nigeria as well. So my journey hasn't been straightforward. My journey has been from Nigeria, scattered around the Middle East and then Europe. The first culture shock I faced was I landed on a Thursday and obviously Friday, but it didn't click that Friday was a day to be respected in the Middle East, in the Muslim society. So I got up, was looking for food. I got out of my house, and after walking for like 5 minutes, it still didn't click that I was the only one in the environment, okay? So after walking about, say, 500 meters, I suddenly saw a car just drove in front of me and blocked me, and then I saw all these guys in beards just came, and of course I didn't. So the guy just came and said, "What are you doing out here? It's Friday. You're supposed to be praying." I'm like, I paused, and then he says, "Okay, are you a Muslim or a Christian?" "Yeah, are you a Muslim or a Christian?" I swear I didn't know whether to say Muslim or Christian because I didn't know what was going to happen. If you say Christian and they start flogging you, if you say Muslim, why are you not in the mosque? So I paused, and the guy said, "Bring out your Ikama." I showed him my Ikama, which is like a resident permit. That shows your religion, so it shows it shows I'm a Christian. And then he said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "I just got into Saudi yesterday. I don't know what's going on." Then he said, "Well, today's Friday, Jumat. You have to be praying. If you're not praying, you respect it. Stay in your house between this period." So I said, "Okay." He said, "Everywhere is closed. You can't even get food." So I said, "I'm sorry. I will walk back right now." And then another one that was amazing, even though I was a doctor, I couldn't speak to female patients. So if a man comes in with a woman and the woman is the one with the problem, you cannot talk face to face to her. You cannot ask her. You have to ask the husband, say, "Okay, why have you brought this woman here?" And then the husband would. So my first experience, I spoke to this woman who had a breast lump, and I was talking. The husband was just looking at me. So when I finished, he was answering me. And when I finished, the guy just lost it. "How can you be talking to my wife?" I was like, I'm not toasting your wife, guy. You know, calm down. So the medical director had to give me an education, you know, yeah. So we were able to just placate the guy at the moment, at that time. So that was one culture shock for me as well. I've traveled a lot of countries. I've seen 50 different countries now. I would say that in Europe, okay, so some very interesting ones. When I got to Europe, I was in my house, just sitting on my own, and friends said, come on, there's this birthday party happening, let's go and eat. Birthday party, oh yeah, let's go now, where's the venue? So I went to the venue, we ate, we ordered, ate everything, finished. Birthday party. At the end of the day, the celebrant came and said, this is the bill. And in my head, I'm thinking, bill for what? I should pay that you invite. I was in my house. I was in my house. You invited me. I came to eat. Now I have to pay the bill. So that was one. The second one was, of course, driving. In Nigeria, you're on the left side, but in the UK, you're on the right side. So that was another culture shock for me in Europe. Okay. It's important to state that I always talk about the way to live legally within the legal bounds without violating any international laws, which is opposed to what people do, most people do. And if you notice very well, people live, you know, it's upward movement. You're living from poorer countries to rich countries. And interestingly, it's not as if the people who leave their countries illegally, generally speaking now, are not the poorest of the poorest when you put the standard of their country into context. They're not the poorest of the poorest. But because they're looking for better opportunities, they're looking for a place where they will get, you know, larger finances, a better standard of living, education, good access to health. That's why they're leaving. So they don't care how they do it, so long as the promises, you know, they've been given good promises, then they just take that pathway. I always use my social media handles on Instagram, on YouTube, Waka Waka Doctor, to tell people of the legal ways. And the reason why people most times don't want to follow this pathway is because I would say it's inherent laziness, because you have to do the work. You know, this illegal pathway, they're possibly going to say, pay this amount of money, we will just move you across the border. But they don't consider the consequences that come with it. This way that I preach involves a lot of, you know, work. You have to do a lot of work. So it means that you have to do research, you have to make applications, you have to pay little amount of fees, and then get the end result. So if you're not open to working, I give tips, I point you towards the right direction, but if you're not open to working, then it becomes a difficult task for you. So the easiest way is to keep educating ourselves. We keep educating these people and passing the information across. And I mean, this is one thing I'm doing now, and it's one thing I've been doing for the last 18 months, using Instagram, Twitter, YouTube to pass the information across. If someone comes to you to say, okay, I'm going to take you to Europe, you're a cake baker, I'm going to get you scholarship, there are documents you want to see. Your documents you want to see. You have your original passport. Have you submitted a statement of motivation or a letter of intent? Do you have a visa? Have you submitted documents to help you get an original visa? Do you have a work permit? Have you seen an original work permit? Have you called your employers over there to confirm that I have a real job and I'm coming to resume? So that again brings me to my first point, that people are mentally lazy. They don't want to do the work. Because when someone gives you documents and say, oh, this is your document, we're going abroad, you should say, give it to me. Let me confirm if it's real. Let me confirm if it's original. If it's a work permit, I'm going to call my employers to see if this job is real. If it's a school admission, I'm going to ring up the school to find out if it's real. I told you behind the cameras, I said, people have this mentality that, you know, things work outside just the way it works in this country. It's wrong. If you pick up the phone and call an admissions office, they will talk to you. If you pick up the phone and call an employer, they will talk to you. You're just looking for information. And if the information is real, they definitely get it. So, like I said, the first way to help with spread of information, help curb this is spread of information. educating people, and that's what I've been doing for the last 18 months using my social media platforms. Nothing good comes extremely easy, okay? You have to be patient. I tweet sometimes, I say that, I say, when you travel abroad, your life changes. You know, your skin becomes fresh. Your smile is different, okay? There's peace of mind, you know. Things come to you easily. You can actually actualize your dreams. You can live out your dreams right in front of you because there's a system that supports that. So my advice is, when you go abroad, be patient, keep working hard, don't stop, don't relax, you know, have a vision, write it down, allow your eyes see that vision, you know, consume it, and continue to work towards it. It's simply as basic as that. That would be my advice. Save, and always call home, because one of the downsides to going abroad is that it can be boring sometimes. And that's why you should call friends. Don't cut people off. Call friends. You know, always call home if you miss home. Like, I'm home now because I missed Amala. I missed all those things, so I came home. So yeah, that's my advice. Keep working. Keep your head down. Of course, keep your connections back home so that you can always come back to them. This is a huge subject. It's a huge subject, and it's not something I can share in 1-2 minutes. So I'm going to say that the first thing you want to do is open an Instagram account if you don't have an Instagram account, and look for me, Waka Waka Doctor, because I give tips. Now, there are job boards across Europe, across Asia. You cannot streamline your choices and say that, oh, I just want to be in Canada. I just want to go to the US. I just want to go to the UK. There are 195 different countries in the world. So you have to say that I'm open to any one of them. And most of these countries have job boards, okay? Websites, different websites where you can submit your applications. You go through rigorous interviews. You submit documents. If you then succeed, they are able to process your work permits and employ you. Now, some people will say, oh, I've tried the UK, it didn't work out, so they give up. But there are different countries in the world. There's Turkey, there's Lithuania, there's Kazakhstan. I know teachers that I've spoken to, in fact, 6, 7 of them in the last 4, 5 months who have left Nigeria to Kazakhstan, right? They teach English. They earn at least $1,800 in Kazakhstan, which is much more than what they will earn in Nigeria. So there are 195 countries. I post them, I mean, almost every day on my Instagram channel. So you can watch and see some of these job boards and apply for jobs. Some basic truths and facts is, not every doctor can leave the country. So even if doctors are leaving, more doctors would graduate and you still have doctors around. But doctors are leaving in their large numbers every day. So the future of medicine in Nigeria is very bleak, because you have the extremely intelligent doctors leaving, going abroad, because the system abroad is extremely encouraging. The system abroad gives you opportunities to become greater than what you can ever think or imagine. People keep writing their exams, people keep going for interviews because the system allows it. So the advice straight up I'll give to the Nigerian government is, first and foremost, create a platform that encourages us as doctors. Facilities, give us things we can, it's not as if, you know, things we only see in the books, things we can see and work with. Pay us money. I worked in Osun State. My salary in 2011 was 90,000 naira. I was doing 2 jobs and I couldn't earn 120,000 naira, 2 jobs. When I went to Saudi Arabia, salary was $5,000. Look at the discrepancy, it's too huge. And they were owing us 6 months. You owe someone 6 months. How can, I was seeing 200 patients in a day. 200 patients. How, I mean, the first 10 patients I see, would get the best out of me. The other ones, the truth, it's just the truth. The other ones would be, that's it. It doesn't work that way. Create a good culture, a good environment for doctors to work. Pay them properly. Give them, standard remuneration that they can compare with their friends and colleagues abroad and say, okay, yes, we it's commensurate to the work we do. Nigerian government really has to improve. The future of Nigerian doctors, sadly enough, is abroad, and countries are asking for them. Like the PLAB exam is an incredibly easy exam to just write and pass. So people are writing it and moving. So if Nigeria cannot improve these parts, payments, facilities, then it's a poor tale. I would end on this note to say that this is a popular theme that I've always passed across, to say that travel is not necessary of money, but of courage. And the reason is because it takes courage to decide to leave a place you've been for many years and go to a place that's brand new. You're going to be leaving your friends, you're going to be leaving your family, you're going to be leaving your job, you're going to be in search of ways to make money, search of better career. So it's often very difficult. The first step is the most difficult one, the most daunting one, saying, I want to move. It's very difficult. But I would always encourage you to take that step. When you start, you will get to the end. Don't wait, start now. It's another year, it's 2022. My aim is to get at least 2,000 people abroad. So if we can do that, we've succeeded. Okay? There are better opportunities out there. If you're attaining this level right now in Nigeria, if you go abroad, you'll be times 20. That's it. So start now, make the move. If you're in town, if you catch me in any of the cities abroad, you can holler at me and I'll be there. Traveling abroad, migrating abroad is not age specific. Age is not a limitation. Even if you're in your 50s, you're in late 50s, you can still go abroad. I always talk about academics because academics seems to be the easiest path. But even if it's true career, like I've said earlier, you can go search for these job boards that will give you employment. Again, experience counts. I'll give you an example. Places like Australia are in need of people with huge experiences in different fields. Whether you're a cameraman, you're a technician, you're a chef, if you have 5-10 years, electrician, 5-10 years of experience, and you apply for jobs in Australia, they'll take you. Estonia, Lithuania, these are places that are in need of vocational, you can do vocational studies. If you're not a skilled worker, so to say, these are places that are in need of you. So age is not a factor. So even if you're 50 and you have 15 years of experience to back this, they're looking for you.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Cancer with Dr. Denise Ejo, the CEO of Common Cancer Foundation. I hope you're having a wonderful time. And today we have in the house Director General of the Nigerian Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment. This is a one-on-one with him. Prof, good afternoon and welcome to our edition with you as our interviewee.
Good afternoon, Dr. Denise. Good afternoon, Nigerians, and thank you for having me at this time.
Thank you for giving us time. I know you have a very busy schedule, so let's try to go so that we get. So as we draw to the end of the year, I want to use this opportunity firstly to thank Plus TV for their commitment to ensuring cancer awareness activities are promoted and knowledge is shared across Nigeria and the world. We really appreciate you and Plus Television. And to our viewers, you have been with us for the whole year. We really, really appreciate you. And as we draw down to the end of the year, we have a lot still lined up for you. But today we're going to be talking to our DG. So let's go. Together we fight, together we win. You all know you follow us, Cornwall Cancer Foundation, any of our social media platforms, and you can watch all the videos there and find out what's going on. So today, who have we got? The DG of NICAS. Thank you, Prof, for being here. And he's our special guest. Let me introduce him to you. He's Professor Usman Malami Aliyu, the Pioneer Director General of